Oh, that's so sweet, Hark. I had an idea for a short story about Gabe before the war. If that's okay with you. Yes, yes. I would love to hear more about Gabe before the war. That'd be great. Maybe about him and his son, maybe about him and his wife. It was really important for me to stress um, his relationship, the relationship with his wife, because I feel like all of the gay Let's Plays, understandably so, all the gay Let's Plays that I have focused a lot on my character with guys. And I really wanted to have a lot of people were upset, and I understand totally. There were a lot really upset that you couldn't start the game in a same-gender romance. You had to have a straight romance. Um, and I agree that they should have given you the option of having a same-gender romance. But since they didn't, I kind of liked it in the sense that it forced me to be able to roleplay a character who at least had a romance with a woman, because um, due to the nature of my gay Let's Plays, I don't really have that opportunity very often. So it's really cool. And it'll be a really great way to warm myself up when I make another straight romance, when I'm playing my third Inquisitor romancing with Cullen, although that isn't really as much of a change because Cullen's a dude. Like, the person I'm romancing is a dude, so that doesn't really change it that much. So I really wanted to make it a point that yes, this guy, Gabe, did legitimately love his wife. That was important for me to put out there. She wasn't a beard. She wasn't Gabe's beard. He legitimately loved her and had a loving relationship with her and their son. And then circumstances happened where well, I don't want to give too much away, but anyway, that's all I'm gonna say on that. Started playing Fallout myself, but I haven't got very far yet. I'm not going to give it very much away, Three Cats. I got a cover and about 3 pages done. I'll send you a link to them when I post them. Aw, thank you! And no pressure on these, please. Like, even however much you end up doing, I think would be awesome, and I can't wait to share it with the rest of the players, the rest of players of Dragon Age Inquisition. I might do a couple of pieces of art for you. They will probably be more from Minecraft Story Mode. Oh, yeah, I like anyone who likes making art. I love getting art from people, and I'm not saying that. I don't want to say that all of a sudden to make people feel like, oh, we should give, spend all our time drawing for Angel Arts, because that's not what I want you to do. I'm just saying I definitely appreciate giving me art. Is probably one of the best things you can give me. That is, like, I don't want money, I don't want, like, random gifts. Like, honestly, like, a piece of art, a piece of drawing, of, like, characters that I've grown to love, is stuff that is probably the best gift that a viewer can give me. So, thank you. I'd like to see what Telltale comes up with without the restriction of working off another franchise, so that's good. Yes, I do want to see what happens. Like when Telltale has the opportunity to do something completely original. I'm very curious about that, because they have some really good writers. Super Show, but I think it'll be something different. Open the console and use the change sex command. Oh, okay. I didn't know about that, but that's okay, because I like the way Gabriel's story ended up. I feel like I'm very more than satisfied with how his story ended up being. How do you feel about the dialogue choice in Fallout 4 so far? I feel like it definitely needs some serious improvement. I've had a lot of problems with the dialogue choices, and probably a lot of it is because we're so spoiled. I feel like we've been so spoiled with the dialogue in the BioWare games. Not that the dialogue in BioWare games are at all perfect. The BioWare dialogue system definitely has their flaws, but there's definitely seems to be a lot more flaws in the Fallout dialogue. There's 2 major things that I noticed. One, it's hard to tell. Okay, when you're playing a BioWare game, you can tell very easily what are the investigative choices, the investigative responses are. And by that I mean, you have the option of choosing these responses, this dialogue, investigative dialogue, and it won't advance the dialogue tree. Like, it won't continue on to the next major dialogue thing. These are things that you can ask for, like background information. You can either ask them or you don't, but asking them doesn't continue on doesn't continue the flow of the dialogue. And I've noticed that Fallout 4 has certain responses that are like that, in that you can ask, you can give the response, but the dialogue tree doesn't advance, and then you can then choose another response. Because as an RPG player, I want to try to exhaust as many responses as I can, as long as it makes sense within role-playing reasons. As long as it makes sense, I want to choose as many of the dialogue as possible, because I love listening to dialogue. I like conversation. I'm a social player. I like social things. But they don't make it very obvious at all in Fallout. So quite often, there might be 2 or 3 responses that I want to say, and for me, it would make sense for me in the dialogue to be able to say all 3 of them naturally, but they only let you choose one. Like, if you pick one, you just automatically continue. So it would be nice if there was a way for them, maybe through color coordinating at least, to let you know this doesn't actually advance the dialogue. You can ask this, you can make this response and still make another response. I miss that. Yes, the argument is, well, that makes it more realistic, but not if you intended on saying certain things anyway, if that makes sense. Like, if there were 3 things I wanted to say, one of which is the most important thing I want to say, quite often in the conversation, just because of how at least the BioWare dialogue system, I save the most important. Quite often I'll save the most important response for last. I start with the less important responses and work my way to the most important response, because that's just the way the flow of a conversation, I think, normally works. You kind of end with the most important thing. But in this case, if I do that, I risk skipping over the most important response and just take the least important response in general, and I lose the opportunity to choose the more appropriate response because I went continuing on with the dialogue. So that's one thing that I don't like. The other thing I don't like is it's so hard to tell the tone of a dialogue choice. They did a much better job of this in Dragon Age 2 and Dragon Age Inquisition, where the icon in the center of the wheel changes to let you know if it's a sarcastic choice, or a benevolent choice, or a peaceful choice, or a firm choice, or a humorous choice, or a sarcastic choice. It tells you what the tone is. Whereas in this, quite often I've chosen a bunch of options in the dialogue, and I totally did not mean to say what I ended up saying. And I get upset because I'm like, that is uncharacteristic of Gabriel. That's not what he would have said. Had I known that that's what Gabriel would have said, and if I had known he would have delivered that line in that way, I wouldn't have chosen it. So it irritated me a bit that it wasn't clear enough for me to know that that's what he was going to say and how he was going to say it, because it was very uncharacteristic of Gabriel quite often. So those are why I'm glad that Fallout is, to their credit, it's an improvement, definitely an improvement to Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas. The dialogue system is better, but because there are so many other better dialogue methods in other games, it's noticeably irritating sometimes. So anyway, didn't mean to go off too much on that, but I had a lot to say about that topic, and I get into that a little bit during one of the videos as well. The game will see it as a straight relationship, and it isn't truly available, but you can do it. Okay, well, if the game sees it as a straight relationship, I'm fine with just keeping it the way the game had intended it to be. My Wanderer Low still has both wedding rings. Mine does too. He still has both. He hasn't sold it because it's his first, it's his wife, it's his first love, I think. I think that was actually his first love. I'd like to say it was his first love. If you accept Stories 2, might write something about Jesse and his friends before the game. Oh yeah, absolutely. I love story. I love anything creative. Anything creative, I'm a big fan of. Oh, David, yes. So I've actually been talking with David on and off. We've been keeping in contact through Facebook. The last time I spoke to him was a few days ago, and he seems to be very optimistic. But I know that they've had to put him through a bunch of procedures. I'm holding out for him because I really hope that he gets better soon. because he's just a great guy. He's been one of my closest friends, one of my closest YouTube friends. But you know, we're just gonna keep rooting for him, sending him whatever it applies to you. If you guys can please send him your good thoughts or your prayers or whatever suits you in that category. I'm sure he would greatly appreciate it. Because he's getting through a bit of a struggle, and this isn't the first time he's been very ill. I don't know if you guys have been following his channel, but he has been very sick before, and it got pretty scary then too, from my understanding. So I'm hoping, I think this is a completely different situation for him, and I'm just hoping and praying. Personally, I'm praying that he gets through this as quickly as possible, without any major lasting effects. So, if you're watching, David, please know that we love you. Please know that we love you, and we hope to see you again soon. Telltale version of Hunger Games based on the trilogy. Oh, I would totally play that. Can I post a link to unused audio from Tales from the Borderlands, unused Vaughn dialogue? Yeah, I listened to that actually. Somebody sent that to me. I don't know what to think about it. You can post it too. I think I know what link you're sending me. You can post it if people want to listen to the unused Vaughn dialogue. I don't know what to think about it, because for those of you who don't know what this link is, if you listen to it, it almost kind of sort of, I'm pretty sure it's Chris Hardwick himself talking as Vaughn, but it kind of sort of talks about Vaughn confessing that he experimented a bit. You know, I don't know how maybe back in college, he experimented a bit with other guys, I think was the implication. And I was like, huh, I mean, yes, the gay period is a thing, but I expected that to be more of a fan thing, like the whole gay period, the whole idea that maybe Vaughn is gay and perhaps, or bisexual, and perhaps Reese might be gay or bisexual. But I never thought that they would have recorded anything that would apply to it. So if that's the file that you're talking about, and if you guys are curious, listen to the link. You post a link and listen to it. It sounds legit to me, and I don't know what to think about it, except if it's real, I'm like, why didn't we get that in the game? Why did we put that in the game? If it's real. Because yeah, if it's real, I'm very excited, but I'd also be very upset that it ended up in the final game. Maybe they'll put it in Season 2. Maybe they're saving it for Season 2. Who knows? Because I don't know if Vaughn explicitly expressed who he would be interested in. If they actually made Vaughn gay or bisexual or whatever, I would be I would be all for it, obviously. I would be all for it. But, you know, until it happens, we'll see. We'll see. There's a mod that makes the dialogue wheel show what you will actually say. I saw that too, Dark. I'm trying really hard to, at least for my playthrough, my first playthrough through the game, blind, I'm trying to play through the game without mods. And the reason why is because if there's going to be critiques of the game, I want to be able to give my critiques. And I feel like I won't be able to properly give my critiques of the game unless I play through the game vanilla style the first time. Once I start adding in mods, that'll just tempt me to add in more mods and more mods and more mods, and I no longer have the experience of playing through the game the first time completely the way that the developers had originally intended it. And I want to be able to give my critiques on it. With a genuine, at least first-time playthrough of everything legit, basically. That sounds pretty cool, but I heard that they were basing it more out of F4's dialogue with a Mass Effect-esque system. How would you think of Telltale Fallout game? I think it would work. I think they could do it. They did it. If they did it in Borderlands, they can do it in Fallout. Especially since, yeah, if they can do it with Borderlands, they can do it with Fallout. Oh, and there's a whole blog that archives unused dialogue from Tales from the Borderlands. That's really cool. That's really cool. I'll have to take some time to sift through that. I have like 20 characters and they're all gay, to be honest. I myself, I'm gonna make a straight one, but it never ends up that way. Whoops. Yeah, yeah. Hark, what is the most interesting conversation you've had in a BioWare game? The most interesting conversation. The one that pops into my mind immediately is your conversation with Krem. Krem and her being transgender. Because, first of all, that was a topic of conversation that I didn't expect to see in a video game. But if it was going to happen, I'm not surprised that it happened in a BioWare game. I love that conversation a lot because it didn't necessarily have anything to do with the plot. It was not in the plot at all. And some people might argue, why did the writers even bother putting it in there? It has nothing to do with the plot. Well, there's a lot of things that happen in the game that have nothing to do with the overall plot. It just helps flesh out the characters more and makes you invested in these people as if they were real people, because realistically, when you talk and hang out with your friends, they're not always going to be talking about the main story. They have other agendas, they have their lives that they live every day, they have their day-to-day issues, and I thought it was really cool the way they handled the way they handled Krem, and the way that she responded, and the way the Inquisitor asked questions about her being a transgender, or him, excuse me, him being a transgender, was done in a very tasteful way, it was done in a very realistic way, it was done in a very honest way, and I feel like it was pretty accurate. I would like to believe that other transgenders would think that the things that Krem was saying was accurate and legit, and it definitely helped teach me a few things about transgender, and reinforce things that I already knew about people who are transgendered. So that's probably the one that definitely sticks in my mind the most in terms of the most interesting conversation in a BioWare game. I hate it when I pick sarcastic and it is mean and not a funny sarcastic. Yeah, that is my problem, because I want to pick sarcastic as often as I can with Gabe, but sometimes it comes off really more mean-spirited than I want it to be. I want it to be more playful as opposed to mean-spirited, and that was really annoying. Yeah, I'd pick sarcastic more often if I knew what the tone it was going to be in. Thank you, Crown. What was the most hard-hitting conversation you've had in any game with your character? It could be anything. Hard-hitting conversation. The last scene of The Walking Dead Season 1. Telltale Games' last scene of Walking Dead Season 1. You know what I'm talking about. If you've played the game or seen someone play the game, you know what I'm talking about. That conversation hit me very hard, and I think it hit most everybody else hard, too. So that's how I'll answer that question, Three Cats. Very good question. I have a tendency to go with a friendly or sympathetic answer. How would you feel about having playable alien races in Mass Effect Andromeda? That's what I wanted! If you look at my reaction to the most recent Andromeda trailer, I addressed this. I wanted there to be the ability to play different races, because I felt like this was a good opportunity for BioWare, since they didn't have to be set on having a game about Shepard, because Shepard's story is done. They're moving on to a new hero, and with a new hero, I felt like they could have had the opportunity to have other races, just like, you know, after Dragon Age 2, they were done telling their story about Hawk, who had to be a human. Now they're moving on to an Inquisitor, who didn't have to be a human. They could have given him more races, and they did. Not only did they make him available as the original 3 races in Origins, they also added Qunari as a race, which I think is great. I wish that they had done that for Andromeda, instead of having us play human again. But I respect the developers and writers because they explained why. And the explanation is because the story that they wanted to tell required your hero to be human. The idea of exploration and the idea of something in your character had to have something that was intrinsic to humanity. Something about the whole theme had to be intrinsic to humanity, and thus your character had to be human. And my response is, I respect that, that's fine, but I would have, for the next game, I would love it if you guys came up with a way to tell a really good story, just as good of a story, but allow the ability to have another race instead of just having to pick the same race as human again in Andromeda. And that's just my personal opinion. I felt like an opportunity. They could have taken this opportunity, but they decided not to, and I wish they did take that opportunity. Here it is. Is this? Let me see what this. Oh, is this the Vaughn's? Yeah, that's Vaughn's confession. Yeah. Yeah, even Reese and Vaughn are like Janie and Turk. Yeah. So if you guys want to look at that, I was just curious what your thoughts are about Vaughn's confession, because it definitely it gave me a very pleasant surprise. A very pleasant surprise. The only reason why I'm not like head over heels excited about it is because it wasn't put into the final game, therefore it's not canon. So it was in that sense it's not true yet because it wasn't included in the game. So I'm wondering what the reason was for that. I guess they just had to make some cuts and maybe to them, I don't know. I don't know what the reasoning was. I'm wondering if there would have been a way for Reese and Vaughn to actually be a thing. That would have been really cool. And I kind of see that because you can definitely see a bond growing on between the two of them where so much so that you could translate it as being romantic. You could translate it as there being maybe some sexual tension between the two of them. But I guess they decided not to go with that. Not to go with that because maybe they thought that having Fiona or Sasha or anything was enough of a possible romantic thing going on. I made it back to hear your answer. I agree with that answer. Kem is an awesome character, and I love talking to him in game. Sloloven forever. Solus must stay Saturdays forever. Solus must Saturdays forever. Proclaiming. Hey Mecha, if you've seen my wolf, let me know. Okay, I need to pay him back for losing my arm. Telltale is amazing. You guys are digging up my Solus heartbreak. Oh, since I've now upgraded my PC, maybe I should give Inquisition another chance, but I don't really feel like doing it. Whatever you want to do, Malik. I'm not telling you to do it or to not do it. That's completely up to you if you feel like it'll be worth trying Inquisition again. I mean, if you ask my opinion, I think it's worth another try just because I love it. But then again, I loved it instantly from the beginning. And if you didn't love it instantly from the beginning, then I don't know. I can't tell you what to do. I don't know how I can advise beyond just telling you that I enjoyed it myself personally, but I'm not you. I never go on Tumblr. Too much crazy for me. I would rather wrap myself in the warmth that is Hark's channel and his angelic choir of love. Oh, thank you. Let's see if I can find there. Maybe I can go. Might lose a hand or what I missed. My internet went out. Not too much. I just talking people's ear off. It's probably was because Vaughn was in the game so little compared to the others. Yeah, that is one thing I was very disappointed in Borderlands is partial. I mean, even though I was partial to Vaughn, taking the partiality out of it, Vaughn definitely was there the least out of the four. There was plenty of Sasha, there was plenty of Fiona and Reese, of course, but Vaughn didn't appear as much. And I was a little disappointed in that overall. It was fine because whenever Vaughn was there, it was good. It was very good whenever he was there, especially in episode 2, especially in the middle of episode 2. When he was there, it counted. But it would have been nice if he actually had more screen time. And I feel like maybe more people would have enjoyed his character more if he had more screen time. I don't know if people would necessarily have enjoyed them more if he started confessing about how he experimented, possibly with other guys. That may or may not have affected people's opinion of him. I don't know, but it's something that it's something that they definitely touched on in that game, that very same game, you know, with Athena and Springs. So it's not a topic that they are shy of at all. So I don't know. I don't know why they omitted it. There was an unused item Vaughn wanted to flirt with Athena. Well, that's true. So maybe Vaughn is bisexual? I don't know. Maybe he's still confused. Maybe he's resexual. He could be resexual. I don't know. I love to see it. Like I'm saying, I'm busy in the comic right now. Did you just start or did I miss? No, Manifei, I'm sorry. We just finished it. But okay, so I reached the end of the chats again, guys. If you have any other questions that you want to ask me, please put them down into the comments. Otherwise, I will bid my adieu. So I'll give a few seconds for people to ask any last minute questions, anything about everything. I'm excited about the finale, the season finale for The Walking Dead, like the TV show. I'm excited for the Michonne miniseries. Um, I'm excited. I'm just curious to see if there's any interest in a Life is Strange open mic hangout. I'm tentatively thinking about doing it possibly next week, next Sunday around the same time. Um, so I don't know if anyone would like to participate in that. If it seems like there's an interest, I will probably, make a announcement about it if people want to discuss Life is Strange. And then after that, I do want to do an open mic hangout for the Game of Thrones Telltale's game. And then again, if there's any interest in it, I might do an open mic hangout of talking about the Walking Dead TV show, because a lot of people seem to be fans of the TV show, and it would be really cool to talk about something that isn't a video game. But I love talking about TV shows a lot. I just don't get to watch a lot of shows very much at all. There are only a few shows I'm following right now, and Walking Dead is one of the very few. And because that's one of the few I'm watching, I like talking about it, I like discussing it. So wasn't sure if people would be up for that. Almost everyone in the Telltale forums love Vaughn. Oh, they do? Okay, good. I haven't really been visiting the Telltale forum, so I didn't know how much Vaughn love there was. But so I'm glad that it's not just me if that's the case. I'm glad that people love him so much. Again, of all the Telltale Games' characters, Vaughn is my favorite. Vaughn is my favorite of every single Telltale Games characters, and that includes the main characters. Like, to be quite honest, love that guy. Did you also think Lucas was kind of grumpy this episode? Yes, I did, Manafay, and I actually talked about that for a while. So if you see my YouTube video when I post it, that gets addressed. I do address that. Hey, Hark, what is your favorite BioWare game ever? I absolutely loved Knights of the Old Republic. Like, not the MMORPG, the original Knights of the Old Republic, the first game. I wouldn't say that was my favorite for the longest time. And then when I played Dragon Age Origins bumped it down to second place, and Dragon Age Origins was my favorite BioWare game of ever. And then when I played Dragon Age Inquisition, I think Dragon Age Inquisition became my favorite BioWare game ever. So Dragon Age Inquisition, followed by Dragon Age Origins, followed by Knights of the Old Republic, followed by Mass Effect 3, I guess. I think Mass Effect 3 would be my next on that, like on my honorable mention in terms of favorite game, BioWare games. He's my BAE, love it, but he was grumpy. But at least they tried. They tried to, with the whole Lucas thing, okay, they tried to give an explanation for his grumpiness. I just felt like, yes, that makes sense why his behavior would be different. I felt like it was over the top. I think it was too much. I think it was unrealistically too much. Yes, he can be a little bit more perturbed and annoyed and irksome, but I didn't expect it to be that much. So that was my biggest critique about how they handled his grumpiness. I think it was too much. What sort of plot twists do you like? Plot twists that I like? I mean, that's a hard question to answer. Like, happier ones, like, or I like plot twists that are not sad. Any plot twists that are not sad, I like, I guess is the best way I could put it. Because there definitely have been sad plot twists. So that's the best way I can answer that question. I'm not sure how else to answer that question. Because I like plot twists in general. Would you rather have children with Dorian or rule all of the Thedas and become immortal with Solas? I have zero interest in ruling Thedas, and Solas is not my type, so I would rather have children with Dorian. Yeah, that was actually a pretty easy question for me. Solas is not my type. I have zero interest in ruling Thedas, because Thedas has a lot of messed up. Thedas is messed up. I would shoot myself if I had to rule any position of major authority in Thetis, even Inquisitor. Like that's nobody need that stress. I don't need that stress in my life. I'd rather have children with Dorian than deal with that. How was your Thanksgiving, Hark? Thanksgiving was fantastic. Colin and I and my brother, we had Thanksgiving with his family. It actually works out really well because you're at that point where you just got married and then the holidays come around and you're like, so whose family do we spend with for Christmas and who do we spend Thanksgiving with? You know, it's that kind of thing. It worked out really well for Colin and I because for him, for his family, Thanksgiving is a bigger deal than Christmas is, and for my family, Christmas by far is a bigger deal for my family than Thanksgiving is. So for the time being, I think we're going to be spending his like probably traditionally Thanksgiving with his family, Christmas with my family probably has no issue in celebrating Thanksgiving on a different date, like the week before, the week after, which is better in my opinion. If you're going to spend two Thanksgivings, in my opinion, it's better spending them in two separate days as opposed to the same day because that's a pain in the butt because you can never eat everything you want to eat because you're eating twice and you're eating a giant meal twice. So if you're gonna do Thanksgiving twice and you can do it in two separate days, do it because I think that's so much better. But no, we went to Long Island, where his family lives, spent Thanksgiving with there, got to hang out with his family. We got to watch I got to watch The Martian on Friday during Black Friday. I got to watch The Martian, which I absolutely loved. I was surprised by how much I enjoyed that movie. I went in not having too much high expectations, and I left loving it. And not even because of Matt Damon, because I am a Matt Damon fan, but that wasn't even the reason why I loved it. The writing was great. The writing was fantastic. And I think the biggest surprise I had with The Martian, if you guys haven't watched it, is looking at the trailers. Because I mean, the trailers, the general story is a guy is stranded on Mars and people are trying to rescue him. Is basically what it is. And I expected it to be more. I didn't expect it to be as upbeat as it was. It wasn't totally upbeat, but I expected it to be more depressing and more agonizing, much like Castaway. Um, and it wasn't. I mean, it gave you times moments to breathe and moments to be a little bit more lighthearted, despite the very, if you're alone on a planet by yourself, you're the only one in a planet, and anything outside can kill you. The atmosphere itself can kill you. That's pretty torturous, like mentally. And I was surprised at how lighthearted parts of it was. Enough so that you could still feel the sense of danger and the realistic sense of danger, but at the same time, they didn't like pelt you. They didn't stab you in the heart like every which way. I like that about that movie, and so that's why I would recommend that movie to most people if you haven't watched it. And then of course I watched The Mockingjay Part Two because I love the Mockingjay series. The more book one. Book one is my favorite, and then book two and three are okay. But the movies I've enjoyed a lot. I thought they did a really good job, and they portrayed the books very well. So that's how I spent my Thanksgiving. And for the rest of my Thanksgiving weekend, I'm playing Fallout. Besides playing Minecraft, I'm going back to playing Fallout 4 after this, cause I needs it. Um, I was wondering if I would chat with you to ask you a few things for the comic if you have the time. Yes, we can. I don't mind if you want to do it immediately after. Um, if you want to do it immediately after, do me a favor. Uh, Send me your email address again, just so I make sure I have it. Send me your email address again, and then we'll chat about it separately about the comics. I would love to do that. Depends on my quiz. What did you think about the ending of Game of Thrones Telltale Game? For me, well, it wasn't an ending. Um, it was probably what I expected. I knew that they were going to do a season two, so I knew that they weren't going to wrap everything up. Excuse me. I like what I liked about the ending is I liked that there were so many ways it could have gone down. And I stress that because no matter what you do, things go down. Things go way down. But at least there are different ways that they could go down. Especially in the extra scene at the end, the very last scene after the credits. there are a lot of factors that change how that plays out. And so as a game where your choices are supposed to matter, I enjoyed that aspect of the game. In the grand scheme of things, I enjoyed most other endings to Telltale games, is at least the most recent ones, more. I mean, I thought the finale of Walking Dead season one was one of the best that they've ever done. I really liked the ending of Borderlands a lot. Um, so those are just some examples. It was good. It was good. It wasn't the best ending. I didn't enjoy the ending necessarily any more than most, but I didn't necessarily dislike the ending any more than most either. So it was right in between. Uh, my poor elf girl wants to be Solus aside. Everyone else is not so much. Well, you know, that means there's more Solus for you. That's a good thing. I love Solus, but at the same time, I have a duty to protect Theta, so the romance situation just, yeah. I don't want to give away too many spoilers, especially when we're not dealing with that game in this playthrough. A lot of people in the forum love you and your videos. Well, oh, really? People talk about me on the forum? They do? You're gonna have to send me links, because I have no idea that again, I don't visit this. I don't have time, unfortunately, to visit forums of any place, really, not just Telltale, just in general. I don't have much time. I didn't realize people talked about me in the forums. If you have links on that, I'm curious what people are saying, because that's kind of cool, actually. How long do you think it'll take to get the video up? I don't know. I'm hoping by tomorrow I'll get the first video up. I'm hoping. If not, hopefully not very long after that, maybe a few days after that. It really depends on how quickly things are rendering. Do you prefer fantasy over sci-fi? In general, I prefer sci-fi over fantasy. In general. But, given that, I enjoy the Dragon Age series slightly more than the Mass Effect series. So that's a little bit of an anomaly. So it's not really necessarily a rule, but generally speaking, sci-fi engages me more than fantasy, just because I'm an engineer, so I like technology. I like technology, I like cool gadgets, I like futuristic things, but I also like magic, you know what I'm saying? But I don't necessarily like magic more than techie things. It really depends on, it depends. But for the most part, in general, as a blanket statement, like just generally, I prefer sci-fi over fantasy. Good night, Three Cats. I watched Mockingjay Part 2 on Black Friday. I did as well. I feel left out. I haven't been to a movie theater in almost a year. Well, I haven't really gone to the movies very much. A lot of times I just Netflix it, to be quite honest. But certain movies I have to see in the theater. And the Hunger Games movies, it's been a tradition since they started releasing. It's been a tradition for my family to watch the Hunger Games movie for Thanksgiving. And now that that's over, who knows what our next tradition will be. Fallout 4 is my plan until The Walking Dead comes out. It's not a bad plan. Have you thought of streaming Undertale? Okay, yes. Many people have asked me this question. I actually have started recording my playthrough of Undertale. I probably have gone to episode 5. Okay, so here's what I'm gonna say. I like the game. I just don't enjoy it as much as I feel like I should, if that makes sense. Like, it entertains me. I do find parts of it funny. And again, I played through maybe the first 2.5 hours, 3 hours of the game, maybe more. I feel like I've played through at least 5 hours. I feel like I played through almost 5 hours of the game, 4 or 5 hours. And it's not grasping me as much as I would like it to. I don't dislike the game, but right now, if I had a choice between playing Undertale versus Dragon Age Inquisition with a third Inquisitor versus Fallout, it's below that. Like, Undertale is below that list. If I had to choose between, because I also started recording Valiant Hearts, and if I had to choose between playing Undertale versus Valiant Hearts, right now I'd choose Valiant Hearts over the game. If I had to choose between playing Undertale versus, there's a bunch of other Otome games that people want me to play, I would right now prefer playing the Otome games before Undertale. So I don't know why that is, because and maybe again it's because it's not a party system. Again, I don't like RPGs as much when it's a lone wolf, because you play one character, and yes, you run into other characters and other NPCs, but the party game, that's, I keep saying this, that's why these RPGs don't engage me as much. I need that social thing. Fallout 4 actually doesn't have that problem because even though you don't have a party per se, the settlement acts like a Normandy for me, or a Skyhold for me, and that satiates my desire of having a party. I have a party feel enough so that, you know, I want to keep playing the game. Undertale, I'll play it for like a half an hour, and I'm like, okay, I don't necessarily need to keep playing. I can play, but I don't need to. Whereas Fallout, Dragon Age Inquisition, totally different. I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to keep playing. Totally different. So I'm not going to say that I won't post my playthrough of Undertale, but it's not at the top of my list at the moment because there's other games that I would rather be playing right now. And trust me, I feel like for a Let's Play to be successful, you want the Let's Player to really be into the game. Otherwise, the commentary isn't as good, and just the Let's Play in general isn't as good if the player himself just isn't that much into the game. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Maybe once I get through all the other games that I want to play, I'll revisit Undertale and finish it, and then enjoy it more. But for the time being, it's to your benefit, if you guys are watching my videos, to watch me play games that I am engaged in and really into. So hopefully that answers your question. I hope I didn't disappoint you too much if you really wanted me to continue putting videos for that game. Game of Thrones, the game you chose how to fail. Yes, exactly. You're going to fail no matter what, but at least you get to decide how you fail. Oh, that's pretty much the ongoing theme. Hey, Gabriel. Hey, Damien. Oh, Gabriel, I love that name. Okay, send an email via YouTube. Thanks, Hark. I appreciate it. No problem. In Game of Thrones, you can only fail. We talked about you today, actually. Not a lot, because we were talking about other YouTubers as well. Oh, that's very sweet of you. Hark, have you played Skyrim? If so, what are your thoughts on it, like the combat or story or graphics? Okay, so Skyrim, I did play Skyrim. I did beat Skyrim. Skyrim was fun for like the first week for me, maybe the first 2 weeks. And then I started getting tired of it because, again, it suffered from that lone wolfy issue that I have, in that, yeah, you can have a companion, but compared to Fallout 4, the companions that you could have with you on your journey was very shallow. They did a much better job in Fallout 4. Um, and the romances, again, in Fallout 4 versus in Skyrim was a world of a difference. I really enjoying how they did the romances in Fallout 4. It's not a BioWare romance. I never expected to be a BioWare romance, but as far as the Bethesda romance goes, I really enjoyed it. I really, really enjoyed it. So Skyrim was fun, but the fun didn't last. And after it got to the point where I'm like, not really feeling this game anymore, I just kind of beelined to get through the end, to finish the end of the main story. And then after that, I didn't touch the game again, even with all the DLCs, because I had zero interest to go back to the game. It just didn't keep my interest. And that's why, even though a lot of people back in the day asked me to play it, to LP it, I was like, you don't want me LPing this, because I would be horrible. Why would I be horrible? Because I wouldn't enjoy the game as much. If I'm not into the game, my commentary will be horrible, and my Let's Play will be horrible. Don't waste your time. We don't want to waste your time, and, you know, quite frankly, I don't want to waste my time either. So Skyrim just didn't catch for me. Fallout 4, again, Fallout 4 is a lot more sci-fi than fantasy. And it's not that, again, that I don't dislike fantasy. It's just Skyrim had all these politics going on, but I didn't care about the politics. I think that's the problem. You had these two factions, these two factions were at each other's throats, and really, me as the player, I was like, I don't care. I really don't care. I cared more about becoming a bard and becoming a wizard in my own Hogwarts, if you know what I'm talking about. Like there's the Mage College, College of Magi, and, that's what I had more fun with. I didn't care about who's king or who kills what or who goes up to the throne, because whatever. Maybe that's why I don't particularly enjoy the Game of Thrones TV show as much, because the politics bored me. I didn't care. I didn't care about any of the politics going on the Game of Thrones book or show, but for some reason they were able to get me to care in the game. And so that was the problem with Skyrim for me. The politics in Fallout 4, not only do you have two factions, you have four factions. And I was genuinely interested in what those factions were all about. And I was very interested in their politics for some reason. I cared about them. And because I cared about them, that's what kept me going. That's why I'm really enjoying the game. It just worked. It just worked for me. So that's why. Um, Play Dreamfall chapters. That's on my list too. Somebody bought the game for me. I think Mistiani bought me Dreamfall chapters. So I'm hoping to be able to get to that too, especially since also someone paid for it for me. The combat of Skyrim was, I like the combat in Skyrim just fine. The story, I already kind of gave the story. The graphics were great, but again, like you can have the most fantastic graphics, but for me, it's all about whether or not I find the story engaging. I don't care how awesome the graphics are. If the story isn't engaging to me, I'm not going to enjoy the game. I'd rather have a much more an incredible story with so-so graphics, which is why for me as a gamer, I don't. It's I understand how shiny, how gamers appreciate graphics, because so many people when Fallout 4 was released, a lot of people were complaining about how the graphics on Fallout 4 aren't that great, and I'm like, I'm sorry that that spoils the game for you, that the graphics is what's spoiling the game, because I'm loving the story a lot, that I really don't care. The graphics could be a lot worse in Fallout 4, and I would still probably love the game just as much. So, um, it's because you probably haven't gotten that far in Undertale. Yeah, I mean, yeah, 4 or 5 hours. I don't know if that's enough, but compared to other games where I'm engaged from the beginning, you have a game that if I'm not engaged within the 4 hours, sure, it might have a payoff. But then versus another game where I'm engaged right away, I'm probably gonna end up more interested in playing the game where I'm engaged from the beginning than 4 hours from the beginning. And that kind of goes with me with TV shows too. Um, Again, which is probably why I'm sure that there might be a big payoff for me personally. Maybe I would end up enjoying Game of Thrones if I watched through the first season or got to the second season. But there are other shows that I could be watching that engaged me from episode one or from episode first 10 minutes. And I'd rather watch those shows that was able to grab me from, the first 10 minutes as opposed to having to wait a whole season to find out whether or not I actually like the series or not. Because worst case scenario, I ended up not liking the series. And I'm like, I could have watched another show during that time. So when you're someone like me who doesn't have time to watch TV in general, you have to be very picky about what shows you watch, and yeah, that's just the nature, I guess, of if you can only choose, if you only have so much time to watch one or two series, you have to have a very strict filter. Otherwise, you end up not enjoying any series if that's the case. Um, Shoot, having a windstorm here might lose power soon just in case every day. Okay, last question for me. Have you enjoyed your alternate Tales through? Trusting Jack and other stuff like that. Tales playthrough. Yes, I did. Yes, I played through. So for those of you who didn't know, I played through the Tales from the Borderlands again and made very different choices, like trusting Jack almost all the way through. And I really love the differences. Like I heard about the Jackopedia. I enjoyed the Jackopedia. Honestly, the Jackopedia was funny, but I was perfectly okay not having the Jackopedia through my first playthrough. I was perfectly cool with that. Um, the little robot thing that follows you I was very surprised that that ended up being something that affected the rest of the episodes, because the little robot thing appeared in episodes 3 through 5, I think, and that was cool. I'm glad that Telltale made it so that your decision in the second episode affected throughout the rest of the episodes of the game instead of just that episode, which is what Telltale does normally. And that again goes with the Jackopedia. So I really enjoyed it. I love how totally different things went. And part of the reason why I also enjoyed that is because when you side with Jack a lot, you get to see Vaughn more. And I enjoyed like being able to interact with Vaughn during the scenes that I didn't get to in my first playthrough. I wish I did have Vaughn those interactions during my Let's Play, but that's just not how I ended up playing the game. So This is my first time on One Angel streams or any Twitch, and it was fun. Oh, I'm glad that you were able to join us, Neonix. Are there any other games you are looking forward to do a gay Let's Play with? I would like to do another gay Let's Play going through The Sims 4 when all of the DLCs are out, which is kind of what I did with The Sims 3. Because I did Sims 3 when all of the DLCs were out. That way I could do a story with a family that was able to touch every single DLC. And I think I did succeed in that. Sims 3, I was able to do stuff with that family with every single DLC. And I would like to try to do that with Sims 4, because my Sims LP seems to be really popular, which I find really fascinating, because me personally, I don't think that my Sims game Let's Plays are really that interesting compared to some of my other Let's Plays. I don't think they're bad. I just feel like my other Let's Plays, I feel like there's more meat and substance out of them, but people seem to love The Sims. So I'd love to do another gay Let's Play of The Sims 4. Um, People were telling me that the Seduce Me Otome, if you guys like Seduce Me Otome, there's a Kickstarter that I think, the Kickstarter for the sequel, I think is ending in a few days. And one of the stretch goals is if they reach a certain amount for the Kickstarter for the Seduce Me 2, that you have the option of playing a male character, replacing the female character with a male character and actually having a gay relationship with the boys, and starting the game off as if your character was actually a gay male from the first game. So you would be in the second game in a relationship as a male with one of the other boys, which I don't know how close they are to that stretch goal, but if they had that stretch goal, I would love to be able to do a gay Let's Play of Seduce Me Otome 2. Would love to do that. There's also another visual novel or that somebody gave me. I forgot what it was. It's sci-fi based, where you can also be a gay character. And that's one of the ones that are up on my list too that I want to Let's Play. The name escapes me right now, but yeah, that's another one that I'm aware of. That's I can probably do a gay Let's Play of that I would be interested in. I wish there were more stories to the Mages Guild too. Yeah, I agree. A good game should be like a good tabletop campaign, in my opinion, focused on story and characters. I agree too. Probably why I love Dragon Age RPG Hark and the company put on. Oh, thank you, the Sylph Blend. Thank you. I'm trying to I'm glad that you guys are like that, and I'm very excited. Once my Mass Effect tabletop campaign is over, I'm very excited to do Season 2 of the Dragon Age RPG campaign. So many people have been telling me that they are auditioning for the second season of Dragon Age RPG, and I'm excited, but I'm also anxious because that means it's going to make the decision even harder. And no, I'm not going to do an Alpha Bravo squad again in Dragon Age RPG before people ask. I can't, because it's just so much work. So much work, and that's probably going to be the last time I'm going to do something like that for a long time. So that means it's going to be even harder for me to make a decision, because it's far less people for me to choose from to be in the group, and it's just going to be really hard. That's the part that I'm going to dread, is actually choosing who's going to be in that campaign, because there's a lot of really good candidates from what I've been hearing from people. I think the Game of Thrones books are better than the show, though both are definitely made for the specific audience. Sims 4 is not really that enticing. I enjoyed the game. I enjoy playing the game. I just didn't think that for me, I would do an LP of it well. But people asked me to do it, and it seems to be really popular, and that's great if you find it popular. I probably wouldn't be able to sit through watching all my videos, but if you guys, those of you who are able to, more power to you. I created Sims after Nick Carter and Brian Littrell from the Backstreet Boys made them end up together or adopting a child and such. I got annoyed with Sims 4 because it's just like they're using DLC to make it fun at all. It made me think it was a ripoff, so I didn't buy it. I will totally audition. I kind of like Sims 4 better. It ran better for me, and I was never for the Sims point system. I have to go now. Very awesome live. Have a nice day, everyone. All right, Janie Hall. Okay, so we've reached the bottom. I am starting to get exhausted. I have to go do some chatting with Inquisitor Lavelin for comic stuff. So I will say thank you guys so much to the following people, to Dark L. Themsby and Tom West, I think was here earlier, for being my moderators. Thank you to Aonix, Brosy514, Crown V, Esparta117, Gyno the Warrior, Inquisitor Levellin, Janie Hall, Lola172, Manafe, Mecha Michaelis, Mighty Maj, Raped, Sage Fox 100, The Frisk, The Sylphwind, and 3 Cats. Thank you so much, guys, for staying with me to the very end. You did not have to do that. And whew, I don't know what the next game we're going to be live streaming, but hopefully if you guys can make it and you're interested in the game, we can hang out because this is a lot of fun. I appreciate you guys sticking with me, and I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your weekend. So until next time, everybody, love yourselves, love each other.